Hey guys, welcome to another Thursday edition of the Vinyl Den, your channel for record collecting by record collectors. My name's Nick. So, with the release of the new Machine Gun Kelly documentary on Hulu called Life in Pink, today I'm kind of talking about, why exactly does everyone hate Machine Gun Kelly? Make sure you check out all the links down below. There's ones for the Vinyl Den Facebook group. There's also the Vinyl Den merch page. There's one for the Spotify and Apple Music weekly playlists. And there's also another one for the Vinyl Den Patreon page. So make sure you check all those out. Of course, if you enjoyed the episode, make sure you give me the old thumbs up. Hit that subscribe button down below. Make sure you hit that notification bell so you're notified every time I release new episodes. So if you haven't watched it and haven't seen anything about it, Machine Gun Kelly released a documentary called Life in Pink on Hulu. And it kind of goes over, his whole switch from rap to rock music and kind of his whole life over the last several years. I'm kind of wondering if this is kind of the turning point for Machine Gun Kelly. I think this was kind of a vehicle for him to kind of get his side of the story out there, and maybe his own kind of way. I'm sure I'm sure he does take some liberties with some of the stories that he tells in the documentary, but at least it's like his side of the story that he's getting out there. Because I think far too often over the last couple of years, the media and other people, and especially when you look at like rock critics and things like that, have really kind of painted Machine Gun Kelly in a specific way. And it's really kind of easy to do with a lot of the public antics and things that he's done over the last several years. But that's always been like, other people's versions of Machine Gun Kelly. So this is kind of his way, I think, of getting his ideas and really his thoughts out there. So if you're really kind of unfamiliar with Machine Gun Kelly's career, he started in the early 2010s. I think it was 2012 when his first album came out, so he was like 21 or 22 years old. He's released 6 studio albums, 4 of which were rap albums, and then his last 2 have been rock albums. And he's had all 6 of them have been top 10 hits, and the last 2 have been number 1 albums. But outside of the music, Machine Gun Kelly's had a lot of stuff over the last 15 years or so. In his personal life, that I think has really kind of clouded a lot of the successes that he's had musically. Of course, there was a really famous feud with Eminem back in 2018, I think it was, where Machine Gun Kelly previously had said some comments directed to Eminem's daughter. I think his daughter was like 16 at the time. And, Eminem obviously took offense to it. They were probably not the best things that Machine Gun Kelly has put out there in public. I'm sure he probably regrets saying those things. I will say that when Machine Gun Kelly found out that Eminem's daughter was only 16 at that time, I think he did delete all those comments that he had previously made. But nevertheless, it kind of led into this big feud. They had a battle back and forth. And, a lot of people kind of outside of the music scene, like looking at it, maybe not really knowing the ins and outs of his career, kind of look at that and say, oh, well, that's why he switched genres. I think that's kind of been the big knock on Machine Gun Kelly over the last couple of years was Eminem chased him from rap. And that's not really true, because in 2019, Machine Gun Kelly released, and this is post feud with Eminem, he released at that time his most successful album, which is Hotel Diablo. And if you haven't heard Hotel Diablo, it is an absolutely fantastic album. As far as his 4 rap albums go, I think it's definitely his best work. It definitely has obviously it's a rap album, so it's heavily hip hop rap based, but it also does have a lot more rock influences in that album that he's done previously in other albums. And I think the great thing that really comes across in the Life in Pink documentary is his kind of transformation from rap to rock. And at least he credits in the video a lot of the things early 2020 with the pandemic and things being closed down, that in conjunction with the release of Hotel Diablo in 2019, which was, like I said, it was definitely a top 5 album. I think we hit number 4 on the Billboard charts. So he had a lot of success, but he really felt, at least according to the documentary, that his label didn't really support him, didn't really help push the album. It definitely could have been better. So he kind of felt lost, even though he just released this really successful album and didn't really know where to turn. And then, like I said, pandemics, everything gets locked down, and he's just him in his house. And that's when he picked up a guitar for the first time in years and really kind of started rediscovering rock music, which is something that has been in Machine Gun Kelly's career ever since the beginning. From, I think, Laces Up, I think, was his first album, which was 2012. He's definitely had rock influences throughout his entire career. And another thing that kind of I think a lot of people really look at, and it looks really poorly on Machine Gun Kelly, is his feud with Slipknot frontman Corey Taylor. Corey Taylor was supposed to feature on a track on Machine Gun Kelly's 2020 album, Tickets to My Downfall. And I think both sides kind of have different stories of how it went down, but ultimately he decided not to do the track. And then next thing you know, here's Machine Gun Kelly up on stage in Cleveland saying some pretty bad things about Corey Taylor and Slipknot. And I think that's really what the media kind of grabbed onto and ran with, but kind of missed the whole part where it was kind of Corey Taylor that brought up all that and really, kind of dissed Machine Gun Kelly in a couple of interviews before anything had ever actually leaked out about what was going on behind the scenes. So there's definitely this back and forth between Corey Taylor and Machine Gun Kelly. And, Machine Gun Kelly, once again, multiple times has, done some things publicly that I think he really regrets. And I think even in recent interviews has kind of said that he kind of regretted or regrets how a lot of that stuff with Eminem and Corey Taylor kind of went down. But nevertheless, I think the Corey Taylor stuff, at least with rock fans, has really hurt Machine Gun Kelly more so than the stuff with Eminem. Even though, like I said, I think there's definitely blame on both sides of the argument. And really, I think kind of Corey Taylor started a lot of it with going public with some of the stuff that was going on behind the scenes. And I think Machine Gun Kelly was just reacting to what Corey Taylor had said, but in kind of typical Machine Gun Kelly fashion, didn't really go about it the best way. And when it comes to the whole switching genres topic, yeah, he went from rap. He's done a couple of rock albums. He's already announced that his next album that's coming out, supposed to be the end of this year, is going to go back to being a rap album. Just because that's where music is nowadays. A lot of music that's come out over the last couple of years is really kind of hard to pigeonhole in a genre. And, like I said, Machine Gun Kelly has kind of been on the forefront of over the last decade of really mixing different genres, including rock, into his music. So it's really no big surprise to people that have been paying attention to his career over the last decade, that he did kind of branch off and do a rock-only album. I think a lot of people like to hate on his music, not necessarily because of the music, even though, yes, a lot of it is not the most complex stuff, but, that's the kind of music he does. Pop punk has never been complex. Blink-182, who is one of the biggest pop punk bands of the last 30 years, you can even throw Green Day in there and The Offspring and a lot of the other giant pop punk bands. None of them are doing anything complex. They've never done anything complex. That's kind of what the genre is. But, I think he's doing good in that genre. Yeah, I don't think anyone's going to, confuse Machine Gun Kelly with Eddie Van Halen. That's not going to happen. But, I think what he's doing in that genre is good for that genre. And I think he's really helped push a lot of other artists out into the mainstream that probably wouldn't have gotten a chance had it not been for Machine Gun Kelly releasing Tickets to My Downfall. There's a whole list of artists, you probably would never heard of. Mod Sun, Willow, Little Lotus, Youngblood, Olivia Rodrigo. Even her album's not necessarily a pop punk album. It definitely has a lot of pop punk elements to it that probably wouldn't have been mainstream had it not been for Machine Gun Kelly. But you got Jade, and even stuff that like Avril Lavigne is doing with her newest album, I think is only being done because of what Machine Gun Kelly has been able to make popular over the last few years. And yes, his public persona can be way over the top, and he does some crazy outlandish things, dyeing his tongue and drinking blood and whatever else that he's doing in his personal life. Yes, it's over the top and it's kind of crazy, and but I kind of wonder, is that because it's Machine Gun Kelly that's doing it? Or is it because of, and I've talked about this, multiple times over the last couple of years, rock music in general is very vanilla, and it has been for 20 years. There are ones in the heyday of rock music, you had these huge personalities that were out there in music doing all sorts of crazy stuff. I remember in the late 80s, early 90s, I mean, gosh, you could turn on the news almost every day, and Axl Rose was doing a lot of the same stuff that Machine Gun Kelly was doing. But it was kind of looked at differently because there's just all these kind of big personas everywhere in rock music. And there really hasn't been over the last, 20 years. You got guys like Dave Grohl is a big figure in rock music, but Dave Grohl is widely seen as a really great guy, really nice guy. He's not out there, causing havoc and throwing TVs out, hotel windows and things like that. where I can that's kind of where Machine Gun Kelly is with his career. And I think that's kind of a good thing. I see having these big personalities in rock music as a good thing, to kind of drive the genre forward, to bring more attention to the genre, to make it a more viable, form of music, because it's a form that I love, and it's probably my favorite. It's definitely my favorite genre of music. I love rock music, have my entire life, and I'd love to see more of these kind of personalities. Obviously, maybe not to the extent of saying really nasty things to 16-year-old girls online, but definitely being out there and being more in the public eye. And, like I said, kind of drawing the people more into the genre, because that's what really kind of drives everything. Because I just don't think he's doing things, like I said, that musicians haven't done over the course of the last, 40, 50, 60 years. There's just no one else out there really doing the same kind of crazy stuff that he's doing in rock music. Like I said, I found even though the music has been really good over the last couple of decades, the way the personas and things like that, public personas at least, have been very vanilla, and I think that some of this kind of over the top behavior is really kind of intentional from Machine Gun Kelly to try to bring more eyes and maybe kind of liven up rock music a little bit. I'll definitely end this by saying, if you haven't checked out Life of Pink, make sure you go and check it out on Hulu. Even if you're not a fan of Machine Gun Kelly, like I said, it's at least him putting out his story and at least like his point of view on a lot of different things, and he kind of touches kind of a lot of the stuff I've kind of gone over today. So make sure you check that out. But drop me a comment down below. Let me know what you guys think. Like I said, there's a lot of people out there that absolutely hate this guy. And as you can see, I got a couple of his albums over my shoulder. I'm definitely not one of them. I think he's a great musician. Definitely kind of, like I said, over the top. I can't really defend some of the stuff he's done in his personal life, but, that's his personal life. And I can definitely separate, a person from the music and enjoy the music and kind of laugh at some of the stuff people do in their personal lives. But, drop me a comment. Let me know what you guys think. If you enjoyed the episode, make sure you give me the old thumbs up. Hit that subscribe button down below. And that's all I got. Until next time, keep on spinning. Peace.